All right. So, welcome to Geek Radio presents the Mitch and Rich Show. It says that we're live, Mitch. I gotta close out this other window because it is on the top of your face, but I closed it out so people can see you now. Awesome. I hope people can get here. It says that we're live, and we're kind of trying this out for the very first time here because we talked about it, and we wanted to create a live, more interactive version of the podcast to share with people and to start a bigger conversation besides just the two of us. So that's what we're here to do. So I am Rich, and with me, as always, is
Mitch.
Yeah,
hey, that's me.
Mitch. I hope that people can see us. It says we have 3 people watching. That's probably all of us. I don't know. No idea. So I'm kind of back and forth between, like, if you'll see me kind of whipping my head around like that, I apologize. I am, yes, so Angela says, we are live. Yes, welcome, Angela. Welcome to the show. Great success. Getting too excited about this. So, yeah, I apologize. I am going to be kind of bouncing back and forth between you guys and the internet over here trying to figure out what is going on. But we are live, so what do you think about that, Mitch?
I think it's amazing. You know, we're taking yet another step in getting Geek Elite Radio out there to the masses. So I'm happy about it. But I am not so happy about the fact that now I'm probably going to have to start, trimming my beard and cutting my hair and stuff like that because
Nope.
I look kind of like a homeless person.
It's No Shave November right now. It's Don't Touch It
Fair
December
enough.
next month. So, yeah. Just Say No January. Fuck off shaving February. There we go. I don't know. We could go on. I probably at some point would...
March.
What's that? March?
I said it sounds like I'm till March, yeah.
Must grow it out March. There we go. April, absolutely leave it April. Yeah, I don't know. We could probably keep going. May it continue to grow May.
Wow, you're getting pretty good.
Yeah, it's almost like I thought about it a lot.
For this particular podcast, the Mitch and Rich Show, we've been off the air for a couple of weeks. One was technical difficulties, but the other was, Rich, you were finishing up your movie, shooting it, actually. You're finishing up now.
Yes, yeah. We did 5 days of principal photography, so 5 12-hour days. We went a little bit over one of the days, like 15 minutes, so... overall, pretty doggone good, I would say. And I think, the hard part now is we're moving into post, and we have to edit it and color correct it, do all that sort of fun stuff. So, yeah, we had quite the experience over those 5 days, and it definitely threw a schedule in my podcasting and internet appearance world, if you will. So, yeah, but... it's going to be amazing, so stay tuned for more of that. Absolutely.
One of the questions I wanted to ask was, when it's all said and done, are you submitting it to any festivals? How are people going to be seeing it? Is it going to be some type of Vimeo thing, or?
Yeah, so my hope, at least, is to take the film and get it into as many film festivals as possible. I think that's kind of anybody's hope, really, and the good thing is that today it's even easier to do that, and there's just so many festivals now. There's festivals specifically just for short films, for sci-fi, for drama. There's literally these super, super niche, if you will, festivals that exist now, so you don't have to rely strictly on just the large ones. But of course, our goal is to try and get into larger film festivals and things like that and shop it around, because we would like to try to pursue it as a feature-length film at some point here. So that's kind of our goal, to get it out there. Once once it's kind of had its run in the festival circuit, most people maybe don't know this, but typically a lot of film festivals won't accept your film if it's ever been showcased or displayed on the internet. So you kind of have to keep it off the internet until you're done with the festival circuit, and then you can usually, go and put it on like YouTube or Vimeo or something like that, which, of course, we'd like to do that too because, you make a movie, you want people to watch it, so you want to try to get it to as large of an audience as possible. So that's kind of our hope for the film. Once we get a little bit farther into it, that's kind of what we're hoping for. So,
well, that's awesome. I hope all the best of luck to it and all what you want to do with it.
Thanks.
So I'm glad that you're able to pursue this.
Yeah, me too, man. Gosh, it's been a long time in the coming, that's for sure. We were talking about making movies, back in 2002 when we were working at Blockbuster together?
It's funny how many times you hear about like directors and stuff that worked at Blockbuster, Blockbusters that were, still open back in the day. Like Quentin Tarantino worked at one. Someone else I heard about today, actually, they were talking about they worked at Blockbuster, but that seems to be somewhat a common thing, I guess. If you're into movies, that as you would be as a director or a writer, you might try and get a job at a Blockbuster.
Yeah, I mean, not to get super nostalgic here, but yeah, that's kind of the sad thing now, right? Is that you can't even do that anymore because they don't exist. So
that is true. The video rental store is no longer in existence, really.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate, I think. I don't know, it's like kind of corny, but I remember when we were working there and just, walking in to open the store and it's just completely empty, just me in there, and then you just feel kind of this like overwhelming presence of greatness from all these like truly amazing like cinematic masterpieces that are in there. I imagine it would be the same experience that a writer has when they walk into a library. It just has to be kind of this overwhelming thing for them where it's just like, oh my gosh, like these are all these great people that came before me. And, I think that's the hope, is that you get to that level where you're becoming something that's going to move forward and stand kind of the test of time, at least for your audience, at least for people that are your fans and things like that. So yeah.
Yeah, obviously, you want to be around the stuff that inspires you, and why wouldn't, if you're a writer, want to be around books, and if you're a movie maker, be around movies. So that's pretty incredible.
Speaking of that, have you been writing?
I have been writing.
Okay.
Hopefully might be a Geek Elite Radio short web series that might be coming out soon. It might be, a year down the line, but there's something I'm working on that I think would be pretty good.
I am excited to hear more about this, as I'm sure all of the listeners are as well.
Well, it's still I'm still writing the episodes right now, so nothing to really talk about yet.
Okay. Is it a comedy?
It is a comedy.
Oh, look at that. It's a comedy.
I'm really only expecting the episodes to be 3 to 4 minutes long, so...
Oh, wow, okay. So super
it's
really quick.
Super quick.
Yeah. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. That's kind of a good thing to do on YouTube, really. There was I don't know if you remember it, but do you remember like the Rooster Teeth shorts? Do you remember any of those?
Yeah.
So yeah, like those were pretty small in terms of their time frame, and it was pretty awesome just to be able to jump into internet and watch something real quick, have some good laughs, and then go off and do whatever it was you're supposed to be doing.
I also think in the age of sharing videos and posting videos and stuff like that, you want things that are going to be, for this type of thing, you'd want something that short so that someone could be looking at it on their phone, get the content, and then go ahead and walk away, reshare it, whatever. They don't want to sit there and look at it for 15 minutes or whatever.
Well, yeah, gosh, like you get those like 30-second ads that are on YouTube now, and it just feels like a lifetime. You're just like pounding the mouse button to skip, and it's like not working. You're just like, oh my god. And then sometimes you just like reload the page because you're so frustrated with it. You're just like, I don't even have time. I'm just going to take my chances at hitting the refresh button and hope to God that I don't get a 30-second ad.
It's very true.
But yeah.
A web series. Do you I know we were talking about this one not too long ago, but I wanted to talk about something that you brought up to me. Oh, back in probably 2002 when we first met. But do you remember the BMW films?
The what?
The BMW films?
Oh, yeah. With Clive Owen.
Yeah. Clive Owen as the hire. And, it's kind of, I mean, they were like little shorts that were basically to feature the BMW cars, but Clive Owen was kind of like a transporter kind of guy, but they called him the hire. Well, did you know that those films are still going?
It's funny. I saw something about that. I think it was a couple weeks ago where they had made a new one with him, and I think they had done a run of them, and then I believe it stopped for a while, and then I think they just made at least one that I saw. But yeah, like those were really crazy. I mean, you had like big name directors involved. I mean, it was a little bit before Clive Owen's career kind of really took off, and most people knew who he was, but. I mean, one of them was directed by John Woo. One of them was directed by Guy Ritchie. There was like a few other like really big name directors that were involved. I think Madonna starred in the one that Guy Ritchie did. I think it was called Star or something like that. But yeah, they were like awesome, badass little short films that were, in my opinion, a lot more viable at selling a car than actual car commercials. But that could just be me.
Yeah, I mean, they were definitely kind of like a... to put them down or anything, but they were like music videos. They're shorter and feature the car and stuff. You weren't really there for the dialogue, but you were there for the action and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's funny too because there was one that Mini Cooper did. A few years back, a number of years back, whatever it was, but it was called like Hammer and Coupe, and basically like the premise was it was kind of like a 70s like action cop type thing, but then the Mini Cooper would talk kind of like how Kit did in the Knight Rider. So like if you get the chance to go back and watch something, I would definitely check those out because they're pretty freaking hilarious.
Well, the reason I brought it up is I guess that new one that just released was directed by Neil Blomkamp.
Oh, really? No joke.
Yeah. I haven't got a chance to go watch it yet, but I know that, one, you liked that series, and two, you like Neil Blomkamp, so I figured I'd bring it up to you.
I definitely do, yeah. I've enjoyed Chappie, Elysium, District 9, obviously, yeah.
I enjoyed District 9, and I enjoyed Elysium, but I did not enjoy Chappie.
Really?
Yeah.
What happened there? What was your issues with Chappie, if you don't mind me asking?
Other than Dave Patel's character, I really didn't care about any of the characters. Not even Chappie, really. To me, none of them really talked to me. So, throughout that whole movie, I just kind of wanted to get it going. Plus, like those two, I don't know their names, but the rappers from South Africa,
Diane Wood, however you say it.
They're just too obnoxious for me. So
really, I thought they did a great job.
I mean, they did a great job in portraying those characters, but I don't know. It was just too obnoxious for me.
Very, very interesting. So, in backtracking for oh my god, I just looked this up, dude. I am stoked to check this out now. So we've got Clive Owen as the driver, Dakota Fanning as Lily, John Barenthal as a character named Holt, and he looks badass. He's got like a giant bushy beard, not quite as good as Mitch's beards, but pretty good there. And it was directed by Neil Blomkamp. Action supervisor was Guy Norris, and it was produced by Stephen Golan. So yeah, that is quite an amazing cast for a film in general, yet alone a short film that's marketing and selling a BMW 5 Series, I think. So yeah, I am definitely gonna have to try and watch this a little bit later here because this just looks incredible. And the other ones were too. I mean, gosh, did those really? You said those came out in 2002?
Yeah.
Gosh, it's been that long, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I remember that was one of the first conversations we had when you were talking about that, and you got to think about that. That was pre-YouTube, so
probably
had to go to the BMW website and try and find the video on whatever player they had on their website, or download it and watch it off your own probably QuickTime player.
Yeah, I vaguely remember it being quite the challenge to track all that content down and find it and things like that. So, thank goodness the internet's gotten a lot better at that. Because, goodness gracious. But yeah, so that's interesting about Chappie, though. I would not have guessed that you would have had a problem with it.
Yeah, I just didn't like it. So
Fair enough.
I don't know.
Well, speaking of web series, we've tried now probably 4 or 5 times to talk about this on here, and for some reason we just haven't got around to it. But I came across a web series called Dream of Me, which was pretty much done all by one guy named Tim Stabbers, I believe is his name. I was a lot more prepared for this like 5 weeks ago when we were going to talk about it. So sorry, Tim, if I butchered your name right there. But I came across it was really weird how it happened. I came across a podcast that was talking to him about making this little short web series that he did. He calls it a web serial. And I'm not sure if there's like a real difference between a web series and a serial or not. It sounds cooler. So, I mean, I do like that part of it. But he was talking about creating this web series, and I was listening to the podcast, and then I was like, okay, oh my gosh, like I got to stop listening to this right now and just go watch this web series because I don't want to like have any spoilers. I don't want to ruin it or anything like that. And I watched it, and I was kind of had the mindset that I was going to live tweet each episode as I was watching it. But then I kind of got so drawn into it that I was like, oh, I don't want to do that because then what if I ruin it for someone else? And I really didn't want to take the experience away from anyone. And once I got done, I think I told you to watch it, right? Or was it before I watched it?
Well, no, as you were tweeting it, and I obviously saw your tweets. I was like very curious about what this web serial was. And I think once you were finally done, since I hadn't had a chance to go and watch it yet, you texted me and asked if I had started watching it yet, and I said no. But as soon as I was able to, I definitely went and watched it. And I didn't watch it episode by episode because there was a option to watch the whole thing as one.
Oh, really?
And yeah. There on his YouTube page there was. So I went and watched it that way. But still, amazing. I mean, you can see where it's cut up. So not cut up, but definitely leaves it at chapters so that you can see where like kind of a cliffhanger was or something like that. But out really well.
Yeah, he definitely finds these, like you said, these really good moments to kind of just put a little stop to it, to where you're kind of still like in that intrigue of like what's going to happen next. And so I thought he handled that really well. And it was really interesting, too. I want to try to get him on here at some point to talk to him about this. I want to go back and like rewatch it and really refresh my recollection of it. But I want to get him on here to talk about it because I think, if I recall correctly from listening to the podcast that he was kind of initially talking about it, what happened and I don't remember if he said exactly where he was living at the time, but wherever he was living, there was a pretty big snowstorm that came through, and he just was looking at it and was like, oh my gosh, this is a beautiful backdrop for a film. I have to go out and I have to, create something. And so he basically created this whole little web series by himself in a number of days, simply because there was a beautiful backdrop of a snow landscape, if I recall correctly. And like I said, maybe we can get Tim on here to kind of clarify that for us and maybe dig a little bit deeper into it. But I thought it was really cool because when I posted about it, I don't remember exactly how it played out, but I followed him, and then I think he followed me, and he was kind of asking like, hey, where did you hear about this? And I was like, oh, I found it because of this podcast that I randomly stumbled upon on Twitter. And I kind of had a little bit of a conversation with him about, the process and stuff like that. And so he's a really stand-up guy, really cool dude. And yeah, like if you haven't seen it, I would definitely recommend that you go onto YouTube and check out Dream of Me, the, web serials made by one dude, I think is what he calls it. And
I think that's the important part that we didn't quite hit on yet, was that it's all made by him. Like every part of that was done by him. He didn't really have any help. I think there's like one part in the credits that says he had some help, and I don't remember which part it was, but
yeah. So he has a female actress that appears in one scene, and he has another actress that voices Dot, the like little AI companion to him. But outside of that, yeah, I think he did everything else himself, including acting in it, which is pretty incredible.
Right, and then, like as you said, with the fact that it was a snowstorm that kept him in, it would kind of be harsh to get anybody else to come and be in it. But yeah, that was pretty incredible to see that he did it all himself and every aspect of it himself.
Yeah, and he was talking about it too, because he was talking about like the filming of it, because obviously since he's operating the camera and doing all that, a lot of it had to be locked down on sticks or a tripod. And I guess one of the things he was kind of saying was people were asking him about camera movement and stuff like that, and he's like, well, yeah, like I know how to do camera movement, and I tried to sneak a little bit of it in towards the end on some shots that I could, just to show people that I knew how to do it. But obviously a lot of it's got to be kind of locked down on a tripod, and I don't know. I hope that he really does go forward and continue to do more with this. I think he set up a really good concept for a continuing story, and hopefully, if you haven't seen it, you go check it out. I don't know if Angela's seen it. She's in here watching us. Maybe she can comment in whether she's heard of it or seen it, or if she wants to watch it. It's a sci-fi show. Are you into sci-fi shows, Angela? I guess we'll find out in a little bit here. I'm not sure what the delay on this is, so I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say that would be interesting to find out how much of a delay is actually on this live stream.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting so when I originally pitched the idea to you, it was a lot easier in my head because Google used to do this thing called Google Hangouts Live, and so you could basically just do a hangout and then it would auto upload it to YouTube. Well, I guess back in I don't know, September 12th of 2016, let's just pick a random date. I don't know, we'll just say that. And so yes to sci-fi, no, she hasn't seen it. Oh, awesome. Well, Angela, go check it out. But yeah, so they kind of did away with it and they switched it over from Google Hangouts Live to YouTube Live events. And so it's a little strange the way that it does it, but it has a lot of really interesting settings. Like you can set a chat delay so that people can only comment like once every 60 seconds, or you can calculate it out however you want. But I thought that was kind of an interesting feature. But in terms of the actual lag from us to them, I have no idea what that is. So, but yeah. So what about?
No,
oh, go ahead.
I wonder why would you want something like that? You can only or people can only comment every 60 seconds.
Probably to combat spammers. Probably stop somebody from coming in that was gonna like spam a bunch of websites or inappropriate things in the chat. Maybe.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't know. That's just my guess. But
it's funny to think about how we always think when we come up with an idea, it's always much easier in our head to execute than when it actually happens. As what we saw today when we were trying to do yet another game of a video game. Now on Halloween this past Monday, I did my first Twitch stream. And that was quite the experience. I mean, I only went for about 20 minutes playing a game that was incredibly creepy, but that was much easier because it was just me playing. We tried to do a multiplayer person game this day, earlier today, and it didn't quite work out.
No, we were trying to play a game called Damned, which it's interesting when you mentioned this to me because I had never heard of it, and there is another game that I heard of recently that I believe is called Dead by Daylight, which is a very similar type of situation where you are a survivor. Well, like 3 or 4 of you are survivors, and then you have one person who is a monster/murderer. And so it sounded really familiar to me, but I guess this game's a little bit older than that one. I think this one's like a couple years old. And now another Geek Elite member, Aaron, he was the one that kind of talked you into streaming? What you streamed on Halloween was Outlast. So was he the one that kind of talked you into doing that, or what brought that decision about?
Well, okay, the funny story about Outlast is I want to say when it first came out, I was hanging out with Aaron at the time, and he wanted to show me these brand new headphones, gaming headphones that he had gotten, and he's like, "Hey, you should really check these out because they're super awesome." And the game that he wanted me to play to showcase these headphones was Outlast. So I was at his place and I'm playing the game, and I literally get to the first jump scare, and I was like, "Nope, I'm done." But yeah, the headphones are awesome, but I'm done. So fast forward to the present when you, I, and Daniel, and a few other Geekly Radio people were talking about some of the things that we could do to expand what we're doing here and try and, basically the way I see it is throw a lot of things at the wall, see what sticks, see what people like. And I think that's a great, almost like pretty great model for what we're doing here, the experiment we're doing here. And I knew Halloween was coming up, and I was like, "Hey, Aaron, do you still have that game, Outlast, that made me almost piss my pants? Can we go and play that and stream it onto the Geek Elite Radio Twitch?" Which I had set up a long time ago when we first started doing everything with Geek Elite, but we'd never done any games on it. And he's like, "Yeah, he knows exactly how to get all that stuff going." And I was like, "All right, cool." So I got myself a costume for Halloween, went and got on camera, played the game, and scared the bejeebus out of myself.
So Angela says more game streams, ! And a smiley face. So that's locked in as a must. And 2, what was your I know because I watched obviously so that's the other thing, people, if you don't know, you can go to the Geek Elite Radio Twitch page and you can watch the archived footage of Mitch playing Outlast and scaring the bejeebus out of himself. It's about 22 minutes of pure excellence, so I highly recommend that you do that. And what was your costume though? What were you dressed up as for Halloween?
So I was dressed up as Wario from the Mario Brothers series. I figured if I was playing a video game, I might as well play as a video game character.
It's kind of like a weird Inception type thing, though, right? I mean,
yeah, I didn't have quite the W mustache going, but I think I labeled myself as the homeless Wario. So
a homeless Wario.
Yeah, exactly. It was a little bit better.
Sorry, I'm like managing the interwebs and streaming, so I keep looking away, just apologizing to everyone watching. No, that's pretty freaking awesome. Obviously, I was trying to talk you into doing some streams and stuff too for a while now, and more YouTube content, things like that, which, I take responsibility for that because I made one video and then I haven't made another one yet. So I need to get on to that. But one of the games that I wanted to stream was hang on, I'm going to mute my mic 2 seconds to listen to me cough. Yeah. No, I was coughing, which farting would have probably been better because it would have been quiet. But yeah, coughing loudly in everyone's ears, probably not great. But so one of the games that I want to start streaming, and I wanted to talk to you about it because I think it's a cool thing, is a game I've never played before. I haven't played any of the games in the franchise. They're on the second one, but it's called XCOM 2. And it's basically a tactical... it's like a tactical game, kind of. It's like a point-and-click tactical game. But the thing that jumped out at me that I, like, when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, I should totally stream this, is that you can create your little squadron of people. So you can, like, name them and, like, give them, kind of where they're from and all that sort of stuff. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I could totally make the Geek Elite Radio crew in XCOM 2, and then we can start having people place bets on who's going to live the longest, or who dies first, or how they die. Like, we could start doing this whole interactive thing with XCOM 2 and, like, digital Geek Elite Radio members, and then, we could try to have people watching try to kill us and stuff. It'd be pretty crazy.
I love it. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, so I definitely want to pick that up and start trying to do that at some point. I guess the only downside to doing this way is I have no idea how long we've been talking now.
Oh, I'm keeping record because
Oh,
I'm recording the audio side of it for our podcast that will go up on Thursday. So
Awesome.
I know exactly how long we've been talking, but that's okay. With what kind of games work best for the whole live streaming? Like, to me, if I like literally when I did the Twitch live stream, I had never watched video game thing before.
Yeah.
So I thought it was more interesting to do a video game like that where, you know, the reactions of the person playing are going to be funny or humorous, or you know, you could laugh at them or laugh with them.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas playing, I don't know, like, that'd probably be more interesting if you were into those type of games, so you'd see how other people play them.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Angela's on board with our XCOM streaming she just says, yeah, so awesome. And we'll have to get her involved in that too. We can make a little Angela character that will try to survive the onslaught of the aliens and whatever else is in that game. I don't know. But no, I think so. It's interesting that you mentioned that too, because it's kind of the same situation I had when I first kind of discovered streaming and all that stuff. And I haven't done a lot of it by any means, but when I started watching it, I was a little confused. I was like, I really don't understand why people are going to watch games versus play them or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it was just a little weird to me. And I came across a streamer called King Radnoff, and he was playing Warframe, which is a game that I really like, and I played a crap load of it. I haven't played in a while, but I played a crap load of it. And like, he was just really engaging with his audience that was watching him, and he was, you know, very much trying to build a community out of it. And it seemed like a very like caring and mature kind of community, which for gaming can be. It can be difficult to find sometimes, especially when you look at certain franchises that have kind of become notoriously known for their more derogatory community that plays the game. And so it's a little refreshing from that standpoint. But that's when it really kind of hit me that most people are watching those streams for the person that's streaming, you know, the streamer, if you will. And I think it's mostly about you finding people that you connect with and that want to connect with you versus the game itself. What I would say, though, is that, well, Angela says multiplayer games are best, which, you know, I totally agree.
That's if you're sitting there yelling at each other.
Well, yeah, and I mean, if you have an ensemble cast, like, you know, usually those are pretty awesome. But, you know, when you do a solo stream or anything like that, I think what I would say you probably want to do is you want to pick a game that kind of fits more of your style of streaming, right? So, like, for example, I don't know that I would really ever stream like Call of Duty or Battlefield or anything like that, because I'm okay at them, but I'm not like the best, like, hardest core, you know, player of those games. So for me, like, when I've been streaming in the past, like the one that I streamed most recently, which was a while back at this point, was Hyper Light Drifter, which is kind of like a game that's similar to like Legend of Zelda and things like that. And I like that because it gives me an opportunity to have a little bit slower pace to where I can pay a lot more attention to the people that are chatting with me, because that's, for me, that's really why I want to stream. I want to stream the same reason we're doing Geek Elite Radio, is to build a community of people that are like-minded, that want to share experiences and want to just hang out and talk about comic books, video games, movies, anything, you know? And so for me, like, playing a little bit slower paced game that gives me the opportunity to pay a lot more attention to my members and my community that's coming into my stream, I think is what's important. But of course, you're going to have those people that they want to see like the professional level Call of Duty players getting like 800 KDR, and, well, I mean, that's probably impossible, but you know what I'm saying? Like, they want to see, you know, just these crazy professional experiences. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all, but I think, you know, I think it's really the you selling yourself and creating that community that's going to do it. Angela says, yes, the people playing make the stream / let's plays, and I watch for their personalities and or information about the certain game. Yeah, and that's a really great thing to bring up, Angela. Yeah, I mean, you could also stream from just an educational standpoint, right? So I mean, you could literally go on and do kind of like little workshops of like character builds for certain games, especially Warframe. I mean, there's a ton of different builds and loadouts that you can do with the mods and things like that. I would imagine you could do that with gosh, what's another game that's similar, like Hearthstone or Magic Online, anything like that. You could have those kind of workshop streams too, to where you're actually showing and kind of being more educational to your community, which I think is a really interesting approach. I don't know that I've seen too many of those personally. I know there was a game developer that was actually teaching people how to program video games through Twitch, so I thought that was kind of cool.
So what about with like a puzzle game? Say like a new, God willing, Portal 3 came out. And
you're going to break the internet. Portal 3 confirmed. Half-Life 3 confirmed. Left 4 Dead 3 confirmed.
Say that came out and
yeah.
you streamed it, and then as you're streaming it, whoever's watching you, what if they helped you like do the puzzles and stuff like that? Like, would that be something that that kind of community would want to do? Like, I mean, I understand that the fun of it is trying to figure it out yourself, and then yeah, you don't want to watch someone do it when you don't get to do it, I guess. But would that I don't know, would that be something that would be interesting to people?
So Angela just says, what? Portal 3 confirms? Yes, Mitch just confirmed it. So if it's wrong, internet, if you look over on that side of the screen, it has Mitch's Twitter handle, and you can go on there and send him all the hate for why that's not true, if it ends up not being true. To answer,
take it.
Mitch just got 10,000 followers, and they're all hate followers.
No, followers are followers. It doesn't matter.
It's very true. I'll take it. I think to answer your question, yes, I do think there are people that do that. I've seen some stuff more along the lines of where people, more so the developers, were a little bit concerned about, like, for example, Firewatch. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not, but are you?
Only when I think you and Chris talked about it.
Okay, so basically Firewatch is a very kind of linear narrative type experience. It's very much just about the story. And so the thing there is, from a developer standpoint, from some of them, and I'm not saying that Camp Santos was specifically doing this, I'm just using their game as an example here, but some people have alluded to the fact that they're a little bit concerned about people streaming their games when they're like that, because then it can ruin the experience, number one. Number two, it's possible that it could discourage somebody from playing through the story because that experience isn't going to be the same for them now. But my thought process is like, if you're the type of person that's going out and watching that type of game, and you're probably not super worried about spoilers anyway, and if you really do find the game interesting, I would hope that you're still going to buy it and support those developers, because they've put a tremendous amount of time and effort into those things, and I think that that's really important. With that being said, though, I've gone into a lot of channels, and right in their rules section at the very top, it says, like, no spoilers, don't offer help unless I ask for it, because that's a risk you run too, right? Like, nobody wants to have that experience ruined for them if they're not okay with it. And so I think just being respectful and reading any channel's rules before you start engaging in, their event or their stream, I think is smart and considerate, and I think that's kind of what you want to do as a community, and that would be my recommendation.
Okay. Well, I mean, and obviously I'm not the biggest player of video games anymore, as you and Chris and the rest of Geek Elite Radio has given me shit about.
It's okay, we're bringing you back.
All right, that's fine. And maybe this is the way that you'll get me back.
It's a possibility.
With games like Fable, where every decision you make changes how your character becomes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What about like a cooperative one, or not cooperative, but one where, you take the vote of whoever, of the people that are watching, and be like, should I do option A or option B, and then if option B is the one that wins out in the popular vote, then everybody is kind of shaping what this character then becomes.
Mm-hmm. It's funny it's funny that you mentioned that, because I know you can't see the comments on YouTube, but Angela's talking about that right now. She said that, she's never seen a blind stream of a puzzle game, which means that, essentially the person streaming it has actually played through the game prior to streaming it, which I would also say is probably a pretty smart move for a lot of people. That way you don't run into that. And then she also says maybe if the game has multiple paths to choose from, the viewers can let you know which path to take, and that's exactly what you're talking about. And I've seen that done, and I've seen it done in a not so great way, and I've seen it done in a really, really smart way, and it was with Telltale's The Walking Dead. So if you've ever played that game, you come up to these pretty pivotal points, and the game kind of freezes a little bit, and it gives you like the A, B, X, Y, or triangle, circle, X, square, whatever console you're playing on, or on the keyboard, whatever the options are there on a PC. But I've seen it to where there was a streamer, and I can't remember their name, but they actually would like pause the game, they put like a little timer up, and then they let everyone vote. And then that's how they went through the rest of the game, was by following the path that their audience or community was kind of guiding them down. And I've seen that kind of done a little bit with XCOM as well. I've seen a lot of streamers and that's kind of where I got the idea, where I was watching a stream and the streamer actually took all of their active community and made a soldier out of them and kind of let them pick what their stats were and like what their specialties were, and then he would have them go out on the missions and stuff. And it was pretty interesting to watch, because you can end up in a situation where you maybe don't have the right tactical team because you have the team that these viewers have created, but that adds an interesting challenge and it makes it a lot more unique, and I think it gives something back to the community that's there watching you. So I think that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, I mean, if I were to watch more or things like that, I would definitely want to be more involved somehow other than just watching, because I mean that's the medium that you have at your fingertips here, as opposed to watching a movie.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I would say, do that. I would say if you're watching a stream, don't be afraid to chat to the person that's streaming, because that's going to help them. It's difficult to sit there and, especially if you're starting out, like you're literally just sitting there talking to no one, and you have to do it as if you're talking to a million people, because that's when people start coming in and they're like, oh, this person's active and they're doing all these entertaining things and they're having conversations, and it's difficult. But if you help them, if you come in and you genuinely find someone that you have that rapport with and you start going through and do that, then I've seen people that have pulled moderators out of their community, and I've seen streamers that start to have their own conventions, or they go to the TwitchCon or PAX or any of these things. And so yeah, I mean, don't be afraid to be an interactive part. And I think even for us, that's what we always want too, right? Like that's why we're doing all this, is to build a culture of people that geek out about whatever it is that they're passionate about, and then sharing that passion with each other from a productive standpoint, versus just oh well, you're wrong, and that tends to happen a lot too. But I think that is a good way to do it as well, to kind of circumvent that and be a little bit more involved as you're watching, and then also helping them out and giving them something to go off of too.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I say that just for this live event here, I'd have to say I'm thankful for Angela, who's typing back at us and responding to what we're having to say. So this is pretty awesome.
Yeah, totally agree, and hope we continue to do this, because I think it's really cool, and I think it also reaches maybe a different group of people too. So I think that's pretty cool. So what? But in talking about gaming, right? For you said you kind of don't really play them as much anymore. Like what happened? Like what's your story with gaming then?
There's no real story. I mean, before I met you and the rest of my friends that make up Geek Elite Radio, my whole gaming resume, I guess, would be it was very casual. Mm-hmm. Your Street Fighter games, every once in a while, your Final Fantasy games or stuff like that, or Mega Man and Mario. I never really got into it. I always had some type of console, but I never really got into it. But once I met the bigger group, you got me into more first-person shooters and things like that. But I just became more interested in the narrative, the storylines of these video games, which then is just more of more scripted television and scripted movies. So, my interests have always been more towards that line instead. So I will find myself going onto YouTube and looking for the channels that have just the story cutscenes of video games. Like I watched, I think, the first 2 Uncharted ones. I watched, I believe, the Assassin's Creed one. So, I find that fascinating because just like a movie, and sometimes 4 or 5 hours long, it's an incredible story to watch. Playing the video games, I still get quite queasy playing first person shooters. I know the more I play them, the better I get. But if I stay away from it too long, the motion sickness just gets to me. So that's one of the reasons why I probably have stepped away from video games more. And I guess pretty much it's the state of television now between Netflix, Amazon, cable, the big networks. There's so much great television to watch that my time fills up with those shows instead of playing video games anymore.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. And I mean, I speaking of shows, good Lord, like television writing has massively taken off within the last 5-6 years. My God, there's just so many amazing shows coming out. I mean, even right now, I am in love with Westworld. That show is just freaking insanely crazy, and the people that are working on it. I mean, you've got Jonathan Nolan. Ed Brubaker's on there. J.J. Abrams is involved. Acting wise, you've got Anthony Hopkins in there, which he's just an iconic actor. I mean, the whole cast is just incredible as well. But yeah, I mean, since you're watching that, I know you watch significantly more television than I do. And wasn't there a pretty big transition of fall TV recently? Isn't that a big thing that happens, or am I mistaken?
No, you're right. Yeah, I would say probably the end of September, the beginning of October, we have the fall. I guess, it used to be called the fall primetime lineup, but as of the way it is now, shows, especially shows that aren't on the big networks, the big four, they premiere all throughout the year. They don't just premiere in the fall and then the winter, but those networks, they do. So, that's kind of an exciting time for me. The new shows that are going to be coming out either at the beginning of fall or the beginning of winter. And it's great to see what makes it onto screen, because you always hear the stories, because I can't say anything personal, but I always hear the stories from other podcasts and stuff like that. How many pilots are submitted in a year, and then how many pilots actually get shot, and then how many pilots go from just being shot to actually making it on the air. And it's pretty incredible. And then you find out, you see some of these shows that actually make it to air, and you're like, I really wonder force behind why did they think this was going to be a good show? But they stay on the air. Some stay on the air, some don't. I usually find more often than not, I want to say probably about half the shows that I like that are new get to stay on the air. And I think as of lately is that the serial shows are really well done now, because they know that people want a more long form of storytelling. The reason why we have so many franchises in the movie medium now is because people want to know where these characters are going, what happens to them after the credits roll. So you have the opportunity to do that in television. You have an opportunity to build characters and build storylines and hopefully keep it interesting enough to keep the viewer's attention and through a whole season, and then hopefully through multiple seasons. So procedurals too. There's a new procedural that came out on CBS called Pure Genius. It's basically a medical procedural, but it's still interesting because they're blending in a whole bunch of new cool sci-fi tech to go along with it.
That's pretty crazy sounding.
Yeah. It's got Dylan McDermott or Dermot McRoley. I never remember which one's which.
Yeah, I don't.
Dermot Mulroney. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, he's a hotshot surgeon, and he gets hired by this web tech billionaire, basically a Mark Zuckerberg type, and he's making this wave of this whole new hospital that's it's supposed to be different than your regular hospitals, and they're combining all kinds of new tech and 3D printing and all kinds of new inventive ways to heal people. And it so far there's 2 episodes, and I thought it was pretty interesting so far.
So are they like 3D printing like organs and like stuff like that, or
not as of yet? The first episode, basically, there is a mother or a mother to be, or an expectant mother that needs to have a tumor removed from her heart, I believe it was her heart.
That sounds bad.
They can't do chemo, obviously, because the fetus is still inside of her womb.
Oh my god!
So they are pushing it further and further. So the line for when they can do a C-section to get the baby out and then still save the mother by excising the tumor. So the doctor, played by Dermot Mulroney, says that he hopes that he can do it. He just doesn't have enough practice or something like that. So the tech billionaire says, "Oh, here, come over to this 3D printer," and they basically print up 1,000 copies of her heart with the tumor on it, so that he can sit there and just keep practicing cutting the tumor out without killing her. Yeah, so it was, it's an interesting show.
That is pretty freaking crazy. I hope that happens, because that sounds like that's a awesome, amazing thing to have for the medical industry.
Yeah, I mean, why not? That seems like that'd be pretty cool. But then, on the other side, on the serial side of television, there's a brand new show on BBC America called Dirk Gently Holistic, and that has Elijah Wood in it and a few other people, but it is so incredible. It's really out there, and it's got a whole bunch of weird stuff happening all at once, but the storytelling is just it's phenomenal at this point for me, and I'm glued to it, watching it every week now.
So do you have so when you sit down to look at like the fall shows, right? And I mean, I don't know, I don't really keep up with TV all that much. I probably should do it more. But when you like sit down and like the fall TV time's coming, do you have like this kind of like ritual where you're like, hey, I'm going to give this show like an episode, like it has to grab me like right out of the gate, or maybe I'll give it like 4 or 5, or like, because I mean, obviously, well, and I could be wrong, but you can't like sit down and watch every single show imaginable, right? So I mean, what's your process of kind of weeding a show out, or what's your standards of selection for that?
So honestly, my real process is I wait for them to announce what shows are going to come out on whatever channels that season, and I go to the websites and I check out the trailer for whatever show it is that they're going to that they've decided that's the trailer, that's the promo that we want to do for our show. So I look at who's in it, and if it's someone that I really care about or really like their acting, I'll give that show a chance. The first episode. Then I'll also check out who is producing it, like who's the showrunner or something like that. Because if it's other shows that they've done that I really like, then I'll probably be on it. After that, I give just about every show their first episode. If the first episode really doesn't talk to me, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is not something I'm really interested in, or I kind of can see where this is already going to be going, and I don't know, I don't think it's going to be something for me. It's already gone. After that, I'll probably give it its first like 12 episode run, just to see if it's on a big network, one of the big 4. They usually get the 12 episode run, and then on the back end, if it does well enough, I'll give it that opportunity. I'll give it the 12 episode run. By the 12th episode, if I'm not interested anymore, then if it's still good, then I'll keep it going. I think one of the good examples of that is this season is The Good Place with Kristen Bell. I'll give you straight up the disclosure on that one. I watched it because it's Kristen Bell. I mean, I've been in love with Kristen Bell since Veronica Mars, and I'll watch anything she's in. And just so everybody knows, Bad Moms this summer was amazing with her and Mila Kunis. It was hilarious. So anybody who hasn't seen that needs to go see that.
I haven't seen it.
Well, you need to watch it.
I do.
I think it's out on rental now, so get on your iTunes. But
Nice.
yeah, The Good Place. There are very big highs in that show, and there are very big lows on that show. Like there
Right.
are parts where I'm like, this is dragging, but then like they do a great job of at least getting my attention at the very end of the episode, so that I want to tune in for the next episode. So it's very creative in the way they do things, but then I'm also very much weary of what they're going to do for the rest of the season or the next season.
Can you say the name of the show again, real quick? We had
The Good Place. It's on NBC.
Awesome. Yeah, we had quite a few people that came in right there, so I just wanted to make sure they knew what you were talking about. So is it, one more time, The Good
Place.
The Good Place.
It's got Kristen Bell and Ted Danson, and it's basically a show about what happens to you after you die. And Kristen Bell's character dies, and she goes to the good place, but she very quickly finds out that there's been a mistake in the paperwork, and she is not the person that they think that she is. So
is it kind of like a mistaken identity type thing?
Basically, her name. I forget what her name is, what her character's name is at the moment, but she shares the same name with another person who was very good, like very altruistic, volunteered her time all the time and stuff like that. Whereas Kristen Bell's character very much she wasn't an evil person. She didn't hurt anybody. She didn't steal or anything. Well, she steals a couple of times, but like she's just a average person. She just didn't give a shit. So when she gets to the good place, they start describing her life to her and how she did so many great things for people, and she's just agreeing over and over until she's eventually by herself, and she's like, that's not me at all. And that's where you're at. Basically the rest of the episodes are her trying to improve herself so that she can stay there when they finally figure out that she's not supposed to be there.
That's crazy. That is
so then you also
show.
Like in the most recent episode, I mean, I guess if you want to watch it, I won't give anything away. But the most recent episode gives away, or trumps, or not trumps up, but really hypes up what it is that the reason why she's there instead of in the bad place when she died.
Interesting. So this is brand new, though. So do you think that they're gonna like get it all kind of like resolved within this one season, or do you think they're gonna have to? Like, I mean, obviously the hope is that they're going to continue to go forward and forward and forward, but like,
well, I do believe
is
that
it
they
doing
just
well?
That I think they just announced that NBC greenlit the back end 8 episodes, so they at least have a full first season. Whether that means they'll come back for a second season is another story, and I think that will be a challenge in itself of what they're going to do with the second season, because I really see this first season wrapping up with her secret being out and stuff like that.
Makes sense. Interesting. Very interesting. So that's kind of like your front runner for the for the fall television right now.
I don't know. I mean, it's probably one of the new shows that I still watch from the beginning of this fall season. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I think Pure Genius is the great show, and I enjoy that more than I enjoy The Good Place, but that's just because it's a procedural, and it's very fascinating with the faux tech that it brings in.
Makes sense. Completely understandable. Well, I guess this is telling me we're at an hour and 2 minutes, so
we've been talking for just over an hour, and
that episode,
that would be podcast
so fast. So fast. Somebody just joined. Hello, person that just joined. We kind of came in at the end there, unfortunately, but don't worry, it's pre-recorded now, and it'll be auto archived and on the YouTube page to go back and watch, as well as the Geek Elite radio podcast. So do you want to go ahead and do all of that stuff for us, Mitch?
Yeah, that's right. If you have an opinion on any of the things that we talked about today, or you want to just talk at us, and you want to get a hold of me on Twitter to tell me how much you hate me for what I said about confirming Portal 3, you can
Do it.
you can find me on Twitter at agent_of_the_bat. If you want to find Richard, you can also find him at
Rycowen, RICOWN. And for those of you watching, it is right below my face, and Mitch's is right below his face over in that
And if you just
area.
want to talk to anybody at Geek Elite Radio, it's at Geek